It's time to get rowdy with Rusty this week in wrestling on That Way Cool Wrestling Show Breakout.
Hello again and welcome to episode number 11. We're into double digits and haven't been canceled yet. Have mercy of That Way Cool Wrestling Show Breakout for May 25th, 2020. All the major stories this week in the world of pro wrestling, not everything. Some things have been purposely edited out for your protection. Here we go. We start with some sad news on the death of Crime Time WWE member Chad Gaspard. Chad Gaspard and his family went swimming last week in the ocean at Venice Beach, California. And I knew about this last week, but I wanted to wait till I had further information and some confirmation rather than just report a bunch of hypotheticals that was on the internet. And unfortunately, Wednesday of this week, we got confirmation that Chad Gaspard had died. He drowned in the ocean, but his last heroic act was telling the guards that were trying to save him and his family to save his son. So fortunately, Chad Gaspard's young son was saved, but unfortunately, Chad perished in the accident. So this is another one of those weeks where I've got too much bad news to start out with, but we send our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to Chad Gaspard, his family, friends, and anyone that knew him. Moving right along, another sad death, a female wrestler in Japan who I never heard of. She worked for the Stardom promotion, spelled Stardom, Stardom promotion. Hana Kimura, Kimura, passed away this week when she committed suicide after cyberbullying on the internet. That is sad as well. We send our condolences to her friends and family and anyone that knew her as well. And we thank Devin Nicholson from HannibalTV.com for reporting that information to me. We move on to Dark Side of the Ring. The season finale was Owen Hart, which turned out to be the greatest of all of the episodes and was the highest rated Dark Side of the Ring, as well as the highest rated television show ever on Vice TV. So I'm sure there will be a season 3. But anyway, it talked about Owen Hart, his career growing up in the Hart family, et cetera, et cetera. And for the first time, we heard from his widow, Martha Hart, and what she felt and how she felt and why she doesn't want Owen in the WWE Hall of Fame. There is also a documentary by John Pollock, Pollock, on YouTube that's about 48 minutes long, from some other stuff that was not mentioned in the Dark Side of the Ring episode that you might want to listen to. And the title of that was Owen Hart's Last Days by John Pollock. In other news, moving on to some more pleasant news, Ric Flair signs a new WWE contract. No time frame was given, but I find that rather odd that he would sign with WWE, since only a few months ago he wanted to sue WWE over the Becky Lynch moniker, The Man. He said he created The Man, and he was threatening to sue WWE, and a few months later he signs with them. But in any event, congratulations to Ric Flair. Vince McMahon bought the XFL name from the bankruptcy court and is telling people that the XFL may not be dead after all. More details as that becomes available. You may remember that former XFL commissioner Oliver Luck is suing Vince McMahon personally for the remainder of his contract. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But both issues, whether the XFL returns or not, and the Oliver Luck situation, if we find out anything, we'll report it right here for you. This week's WWE Raw was the second lowest Raw in the history of Monday Night Raw as ratings continue to fall. We move over to the NWA. NWA Power tapings will not return due to the coronavirus situation until January 2020. Until then, they will continue to produce talk shows and other content like uh, What's Causing Aldous, which is a talk show by Nick Aldis, and Carney Land, which I don't agree with. It's more silly type WWE comedies type stuff. But at least they're trying to do other programming to keep their name out there and all that. So I wish them success. I just wish they would try to be a little bit more realistic. And moving on to AEW TV this week on TNT, we had Jon Moxley destroy number 10 of the Dark Order and then cuts a promo as he breaks 10's arm with a chair after a Brody Lee promo. That was 3 stars. We then have MJF, my favorite MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, versus Marco Stunt. MJF wins, 3 stars. We had an Arn versus Jake Roberts in the ring sit down debate, basically a pissing contest. And it ended up being a pull apart, but Jake was great on the mic. Arn was great on the mic, so I give that 4 stars. We then had Orange Cassidy versus Ray Phoenix, 3 stars. Phoenix with a low blow and gets the win there. Phoenix ended up getting hurt and could not work the pay-per-view on Saturday night or after the pay-per-view. During that, and could not work the pay-per-view Saturday night. That's what I should have said. I apologize. We then had Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in a 4-star match. Matt Hardy wins. After the match, there was a video of the Inner Circle live feed from the football stadium in which they attacked Kenny Omega, and they were setting up an angle in which a sober Hangman Adam Page dashes to get involved in the brawl as they set up the pay-per-view for Saturday night, which was Double or Nothing. More on that in a minute. The AEW TV show had 701,000 viewers to 592,000 viewers for NXT, and that makes about 28-5-1 in favor of AEW. It seems like the only time NXT wins is when WWE sends some major stars like Finn Balor and others down to NXT to pop a rating, and they've won 5 times. But AEW continues to prosper in that regard. Moving right along to the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, we see the debuting of Brian Cage, who wins in a ladder match and gets a future AEW title shot. Shida wins the AEW Women's Championship by defeating Nyla Rose. Cody defeats Archer to become the TNT champion, first ever TNT champion. And before you guys get as mad as I did about the belt being so ugly, I found out later from some other people that the TNT championship is a work in progress. The plates, some of the side plates for the belt need to be completed due to the coronavirus situation. They were unable to complete the belt, but they did get the belt shipped to the pay-per-view, and so the belt will look better in the weeks to come. It's not a finished product. And then we move on to something that I thought was a total disgrace. If you want to hear more about this, check out Point Counterpoint with my tag team partner, Maniac Mark Lindsay, right here on the DJB Productions Network. Point Counterpoint, episode number 3. We talk about the Stadium Stampede. As I said, I thought it was a disgrace. I like hardcore matches, but this was like hardcore with a bunch of comedy in it. They spent most of the night trying to rehabilitate the referee's image in making them, shall we say, authority figures. And then in the last match, they have the referees, who are pro wrestling referees, have like penalty flags for football in their pockets. And then you have Jericho chasing Aubrey Edwards into the replay tent, demanding a replay of something that she said he did wrong, and just turning it into a football themed match instead of just wrestling on the football field in the football stadium. But again, check that out. Point Counterpoint, episode number 3, Stadium Stampede, right here on the DJB Productions Network. We then move on to NXT. Phantasma versus Tozawa. Phantasma wins in the interim cruiserweight tournament match. We then had Mia Yim over Santana Garrett. Gargano and his wife attack, and we see the save by Keith Lee after the match. We then had Roderick Strong versus Dexter Lumis. Strong wins. Yes, that's the Roderick Strong that was so prominent once upon a time in Ring of Honor. We then had a new tag team called Everrise versus Larkin and Birch. Larkin and Birch gets the win. And we then had a Kushida versus Drake Maverick, another cruiserweight title match. Drake Maverick wins, so it looks like they're turning this layoff of Drake Maverick into some angle to bring Drake Maverick back into NXT. And for those of you wondering, if you didn't know, Drake Maverick was the former Rockstar Spud in TNA, if anybody cares. Moving right along, we also had news about Sting to AEW. There continues to be rumors about that. Mike Tyson too. Mike Tyson was at the pay-per-view this past Saturday night. So we'll have to look and see what happens with that. They didn't do much with Mike Tyson this week, but I'm hoping they'll bring him back and do something in the near future. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And Mike Tyson did take his shirt off and appeared to get into an argument with Jake the Snake Roberts over the snake and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that Mike Tyson will be back at some point in AEW. Well, it looks like it's a slow week this week. So keep it right here next week for more wrestling news on the DJB Productions Network. Thanks for Danny J for pushing the buttons back at DJB Productions Network. Please remember to subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the great programming here on the DJB Productions Network, not just the wrestling stuff. And again, please remember to check out Point Counterpoint with myself and Mark Lindsay here on the DJB Productions Network, a debate-style show on the top issues of professional wrestling as well. So until next week, same time, same channel, keep it here and keep pro wrestling alive, everybody. Thank you for listening and have a good day.
Thank you for listening to that Way Cool Wrestling Show Breakout. We'll see you at the matches. Goodbye, everybody.